Some people have this stereotype that Korean guy is very gentle, very sweet, take care of his girlfriend, like some this kind of stereotype. And do you think it's true?
I think in general, yes.
You got fat, or you should lose some
Um,
weight, or oh, your skin is not looking good. So
mm,
I think like I had this experience in Korea. It's kind of okay to say that. Because I think a lot of Korean men are considerate to their girlfriend and like kind of protective. Um,
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I interviewed 3 different girls who are currently in a relationship with Korean men. And I asked them, what is it actually like dating with a Korean guy? So you have Korean boyfriend, right?
yes, I do. Yeah.
How long have you dated for?
I think it's good be fair if I say like about a year for now.
About a year.
Mm,
How did you guys meet for the first time?
at first, we texted a lot in the messenger,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, he came to my country to meet me.
Really?
Yeah, it was Christmas holidays, and it's a really important holiday for people of my country. So I was really like touched that he came on this holiday to spend time with me.
Mm-hmm. Like, what kind of messenger did you meet him?
Oh, we met on some strange website online.
Website?
Yeah, and then we decided to switch to Kakao Talk.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, yeah.
We've been dating for 4 months.
4 months. How did you guys first meet?
Actually, it's kind of embarrassing for me, but when I first came back to Korea after going back to US for a little bit, my friend invited me to some party, and I don't like partying, but it's been a long time since I saw her, so I just went, and I just saw him there, and I thought he was really attractive, so I went and talked to him first, and we just hang out for the whole night, maybe like 5 hours, and he walked me home. We just kept talking and started dating that way.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been dating?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Wow. That's very long time. How did you first meet him?
We met actually in a restaurant.
Restaurant.
Yes. I was there for a long time, kind of, and I saw him on the other side of the room, and he saw me on the other side of the room. And then after a while, he came halfway, and then I went halfway, and we started talking. And a few days later, we went on a movie together. And he was very gentleman, so I was like, yeah, let's go again, and still going again.
The next question is, how is it different from dating a guy from your country?
Not really much different because actually neither of us are really the jealous type of person. I guess it depends on the person because I think typically Korean men are a bit more conservative than US guys.
He's so different from Belarusian guys.
Oh,
Belarusian guys are mostly cold-hearted.
cold-hearted.
Yeah, if I can say so, they're really cold, and it's hard for them to express their feelings. It's really rare that someone is like saying, "Oh, I love you, I care about you so much." If they're dating you, then they probably love you. I don't know. Yeah, but as I saw, like people in Korea dating, Korean guys really not scared of showing emotions.
True.
Yeah, and doing like little gestures to show they care.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold something, help you in some stuff. Yeah.
I honestly do think guys here are more gentlemen.
Oh.
He paid for the dates and like he walked me home but didn't try to kiss or something, which is very different, I feel, from my home. And also in general, like if there's rain, he will carry the umbrella and stuff, and I see it also on the streets. So I feel like guys here are more gentlemen, kinder than Israel. And also I think it goes a little slower in general. In Israel you meet the parents very fast. Even if you're not a serious couple, you can meet the parents just after 3 days because they're sitting in the living room.
Wow.
And here you don't do that, which is better.
Better.
Yes.
Then how long did it take to meet his parents?
Actually, he met my parents after first year when they came here, yes. And I started talking with his parents about 2 months, 3 months in to the relationship. But in Israel, you really don't even have to be actually dating. It can be some and you still see the parents. Very awkward.
You said like his English not perfect and your Korean is not perfect, right? Then is there any like difficulties when you communicate?
Yeah, of course there are difficulties. We're not only speak different languages, we are from very different cultures. And sometimes things that are really normal in Korea can be offensive in my culture. And I need to keep that in mind. Or sometimes when I do or talk something that is okay for my country, it can be considered offensive or rude in Korean culture. So yeah, of course there are some difficulties. Yeah.
Like, could you give me any example about like offensive thing?
Oh, so Belarus is really a lot of like culture about private space and private stuff. But in Korea, it's a lot like more common to speak on private things. I don't know. For example, it's rude in my country to say, "Oh, you got fat," or "You should lose some weight," or "Oh, your skin is not looking good." So I think like I had this experience that in Korea it's kind of okay to say that, but in my country it's kind of offensive to say stuff like this.
True. I feel like in Korea, like mentioning things about your like body parts or like changes is very common, but not in Belarus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I understand that in this country it's like more caring about you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I care about you, so I want you to look better. I want you to be healthy. Yeah, like this. And I understand it, so I'm not getting upset or something. Yeah.
Because you already know the cultural difference.
Yeah, yeah. Before I came here, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube
Yeah.
about the culture differences,
Yeah,
so I was aware of that.
What has been the biggest struggle or difficulties because of like cultural differences or something like that?
I think the first thing is that in Korea, people work a lot more hours. So even on weekends or very long hours, and in Israel, you don't do that as much. You usually have the weekend together and you finish working earlier. And here, I need to be the one that accepts the fact that we are in Korea. So he will continue to work how it works here, and I am the one who needs to adjust to that. Also, when I talk to friends from home and they ask me, "Oh, what did you do in the weekend? Did you meet your boyfriend?" I went, "No, he was working in the weekend. We will see on Tuesday." So for them, it seems weird, and I have to explain that. So there needs to be, for me, a mind shift every time when I talk to my Korean friends or when I talk to my friends at home. I need to explain certain things. And when you live here for a long time, you kind of forget how it used to be in your own country. So when they are surprised by something, I'm like, "Oh, but that's not weird. That's normal."
So, for example, what kind of things do you think it's normal?
You don't really go to each other's home.
Yeah.
But in Israel, you go to each other's home. Just if you go to watch a movie, you go to watch a movie at home. Or you go to make food at home. It's very normal in Israel. And here, it's very weird to go home to someone, especially if they don't live alone.
Like in Korea, you normally do everything outside.
Yeah.
You go to restaurants, cafes, movies, you know?
And you have a cafe date. You sit in the cafe for like 3-4 hours.
The next question is, some people have this stereotype that Korean guy is very gentle, very sweet, take care of his girlfriend, like this kind of stereotype. And do you think it's true?
My boyfriend specifically is very like considerate of me. Like he plans dates more often. Like if there's something I want to do, we'll go do that thing. So it's very comfortable and feels like safe, I guess. Because I think a lot of Korean men are considerate to their girlfriend and like kind of protective.
I think in general, yes. I feel like when they get a little older, like not if he's 18 or 19, then less of a chances, but it's normal because young people are usually a little less. They are usually interested more in party life and student life. But afterwards, I really think it is because also my friends who date Koreans and from my experience, yes.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
I think it also depends on the case, depends on the particular girl and particular guy. I have friends of mine who had like not really good, quite bad experience, with boys who are only interested in like body stuff.
Like sexual.
Yeah,
things?
sexual connection and
Mhm.
not interested in person like at all.
Yeah.
But my case is totally different. I
Yeah.
have really nice guy
Mm.
and he helped me like crazy amount of times and he really like I could say that he like almost saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
so it's like maybe it's my personal experience, but I do live in my K-drama moment right now. Yeah, but of course,
Good, yeah.
I think if girl going to travel or even move to Korea, they should really take in mind that there are different people and you cannot trust everybody.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it for today's interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day too. Yeah.